Information. If it exists in writing, we print it. If it exists online, we update it. If it exists on mobile, we notify. If it exists in video, we show it. If it exists in audio, we play it. In the past, the news had to wait for a paper to print for it to happen. Today, news happens in real time. It's analyzed, edited, and published immediately by us, your neighbors, and of course, you. Wherever you are, you write, edit, give opinions, share photos, and make the news happen. This is why a paper needs to be on print, on screen, and on your phone. Wherever you are, your news has its pulse in the community. The Boca Raton Tribune. We are much more than just a newspaper. We are your closest neighbor.
Thank you, everybody, to be here with us in our candidates forum for the City Council in Boca Raton. And you are very happy to be serving our community for 11 years. And since then, you have the forum every election when you bring the candidates to talk about their platforms and discuss. You've been doing this in person all those times. And the last two forums we did hybrid with live streaming and then in personal. But this year, because everything is going on and we're doing only online, and then you're using this platform. And I want to welcome you, and I want to thank you, everybody, to be here with us and all the candidates. And before I send the microphone for the editors of the Boca Raton Tribune, and I'm going to let you know that you are taking a survey during this forum. Okay, you need to go in the app and vote for your candidate there. At the end, before the end of the forum, you go to show the results for tonight. The survey is going to continue until the election day, and we're going to show tonight what the people who's watching are thinking and what their intention of the votes. And again, you need to go in your app store, in your phone, in the Apple Store or Google Play, download the Boca Raton Tribune app, and then vote from there, okay? And thank you very much to be with us. I want to bring here our editor, Cyril Allen, and Pedro Heiser, that's going to be with you from now on. Thank you, everybody, and good forum for all. Bye.
Thank you, Douglas. Good evening. I am C. Ron Allen, editor of the Boca Raton Tribune.
And I'm Pedro Heiser, the managing editor of the Boca Raton Tribune.
And we want to welcome you to this year's Candidates Forum for the Boca Raton City Council seats C and D. This forum is sponsored by the Boca Raton Tribune. The editorial staff drafted the format for tonight's forum, and the rules have been agreed upon by the campaigns. Pedro will now go over the rules.
All right, so the rules for tonight's forum are very simple. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for opening remarks. From there, we'll have questions for each candidate, and they will all have 1 minute to answer each question. And at the end, each candidate will also have 2 minutes for closing remarks. Did you catch that?
Okay. Unlike previous years, you, the audience, will not be able to join us in the same room. Nonetheless, we still want you to be involved. So please put your questions in the chat and we'll be able to see them. I will now invite you to applaud or 3 snaps at this moment as we welcome the candidates. We should add, though, that repeated attempts were made to reach our 6th candidate, Mr. Bernie Corn, to no avail. Now, tonight, folks, I do not expect us to cover all the issues of the campaign, but I do remind everyone there has been several forums between the candidates that you can find online. You can also find articles highlighting each candidate's platform, as well as recorded interviews on BocaRatonTribune.com. We're going to focus tonight on many of the issues that voters tell us are important, and we're going to press for specifics in many cases. I am honored to have this role, but this evening belonged to the candidates. This is important to the residents of Boca Raton. Candidates, we certainly look forward to you articulating your position as well as your visions and your values. So let us begin. The first question goes to Ms. Mayotte. Do you think our downtown is healthy and successful? If not, what will you do to change that?
Well, Mr. Allen, thank you for that question. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So as the current CRA chair for this downtown, I oversee the whole of the downtown. I love our downtown. We have great things going on in our downtown, whether it's Meisner Park or Royal Palm Place or, all kinds of great activities that people can do virtually or on their own, walking tours. We have our historical society downtown. Is there room for improvement? There's always room for improvement. We can always do things better. We have, a lot of things that I hear right now are noise and loud vehicles and speeding through our downtown, which we are addressing with our police department on a regular basis. We're doing targeted, citations and targeted times and areas of where we're seeing the infractions. We will address this on an ongoing basis. But I, as a CRA chair, I put a challenge out to all of our developers that want to develop in downtown that I want to see exceptional, beautiful buildings. And that doesn't mean they have to be 10 stories tall. It can be a small building that has innovative design and is beautiful and has some resiliency built into it and sustainability. That's what I'm looking for in our downtown. And that's what I see as a vision for our downtown. I just want to see beautiful design. Make it make there be a reason for people to want to come visit our downtown.
Okay, Ms. Makovic. Ms. Makovic,
now
you
I'm
had the
here. I am.
Yes.
Here I
Yes,
am.
there you
I
go.
forgot we were muted for a second. Okay, so thank you for having me tonight. I think that there is a lot that's really great about the downtown. I love taking my kids down to Sanborn Square. We like hanging out in Meisner Park Amphitheater. There's a stage there. They love to be on the stage and dance around when it's empty and attend events. I think there's always room for improvement. I think there are several storefronts that have remained empty or have constant revolving doors when it comes to the vendors. So I would like to see diversity when it comes to those vendors so that when people do go downtown, they can have a little bit of everything. I think there's room for improvement when it comes to having a more walkable area, when it comes to restaurant options, bar options, things like that. We see a little bit of that in like the Royal Palm Plaza area, but I think that there could be more. And so I would like to see more innovation and more ideas when it comes to repurposing some of the older buildings that are downtown, to be making sure that we're using what we have first before we add more to it. And so I would like to see projects that work towards that, as well as attracting different types of businesses to give a little bit of options for everyone who live in the city.
Thank you. Ms. Drucker?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So thank you for having us. I don't think we did our introductions, but good evening, everyone. Yes, the downtown, an area that I spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time there with my children. I have 2 teenagers. We do get a lot of complaints around the noise. So something that we're monitoring from the city side. But I would like to see as we enter the next phase of the downtown, and I know a lot of redevelopment will start coming up. Again, I want common sense development, smart planning, exceptional planning for exceptional development. I want to see our businesses operating, supporting our restaurants, supporting the businesses are coming in, the folks that are living in the downtown, more green space, walkability. The Bright Line will bring a lot of people into our footprint, making sure we continue to stay safe in the downtown. The Historical Museum is going to be opening in the fall, which I'm really excited about. So I think a lot of great things that are coming to the downtown in the next few years and months. Thank you.
Wonderful. And Mr. Steinberg?
Thanks, T-Ron. I think that there's more to Boca Raton than just the downtown. There are other neighborhoods that that we really need to focus on. What I'd like to see downtown, though, is I'd like to see the return of the art festivals that we've had in the past, and the music and all the arts things that we've always had there. I know that we've come off a difficult year, but it's time to bring those things back. We also need to focus on Central Boca Raton. We got to focus on North Boca Raton. We have to focus on all of our neighborhoods to bring them up to speed. Downtown has a lot of great opportunities. One of the things that's coming up is the expiration or the sunsetting of Ordinance 4035, which dictates how downtown works in terms of development, redevelopment. We have an opportunity to take a look at how that worked, where we're at, and where we're going to go with it. So downtown's a work in progress.
Thank you. Ms. Scott?
See, Ron. First of all, thank you, Douglas. And thank you, Pedro.
Ms. Scott, I think you have two devices on at the same time. You may want to mute one if possible. Yeah.
Okay, how's that?
Much better.
Okay. I just wanted to say thank you so much, Pedro. Thank you, Douglas. Thank you, C-Ron, for this opportunity to speak to the public tonight. And the CRA and the downtown are very special and have had a lot of focus over the last 25 years. We're almost at maximum build out in terms of 8 million square feet of office equivalency with the development that we've done over from 2009 primarily to 2015. All the buildings that were approved at that time still haven't been finished. What I'm really looking most forward to is an opportunity for the city now, as we've done the build out, is to reevaluate what we can do in terms of making our streets more smart cities, in terms of managing traffic, in terms of our street lamps, our street lighting is horrific. It hasn't been changed since 1986 to 1987. That all can be done with CRA dollars. When you think about all of the people who live in the downtown are paying that TIF, they deserve to have updated landscaping, updated lights, updating streets and roads. And so the money should be going back in.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Scott.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now that we had a chance to test our microphones, you will each have 2 minutes to introduce yourself, starting with Ms. Drucker.
Hi, so my name is Yvette Drucker. I'm first generation Cuban American, first Hispanic on the council. I was appointed to the council last October. Doug, Pedro, it's nice to meet you. C-Ron, I've never met you before. My campaign is to continue to serve my willingness to continue to be the voice of residents. I believe in the residents of this community. I have a long history of volunteerism. I have a long history of, I was a businesswoman before my career in volunteerism. My volunteer efforts have spanned through not only schools, PTAs, local nonprofits, almost 19 where I've served, and many of them in leadership positions. Past president of the Boca Raton Historical Society, something that I'm very, very proud of. I'm a junior leaguer, and my volunteer path has led me to today. I also have a business background, like I mentioned before. We're living in a very different time. COVID is very visible, and we understand that the economy has taken a hit during this pandemic. So I'm here to help us get through it together as a community, collaborating, and what I've been doing on the council the last 4 months. My promise to you is always listen to you, never fine you for speaking up, never questioning why you're bringing up issues. Not only overseeing the development, but also seeing both sides. Developers have a say, residents have a say, a community as a whole has a say. I want to do what's right for the residents long term, not what's right today. I want to look at Boca, the future. The environment is also very important to me, smart development, small business recovery. And the race is going to come down to who do you trust? Who has integrity? Who is not lying and who is not attacking? I have new ideas And I believe that I am the future of Boca Raton. And I hope that tonight you can see that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Drucker. Ms. Makovic.
Thank you so much for having me tonight. Good evening, everyone. Ms. Drucker, that was a great speech. I wonder where I've heard that stuff before. My name is Josie Makovic. I'm running for Boca Raton City Council seat C. I was raised in the greater Boca Raton area. When I was 19, I moved overseas to Israel, where I served in the IDF. I returned home from the state, and I joined a tech company where I worked as their 9th employee and helped to grow the company to be one of Inc. 500's fastest growing companies in the US and #1 in Miami. I've achieved Google partnership and customized training with Google. The company went on to be purchased by Pure Cars. I left the corporate world to grow my family. I now have 3 young children who are 2, 4, and 6. I decided to run for this seat because over this last year, I have seen firsthand how influential our local government is on our daily lives. And this led me to look into the history of our city and the decisions that have been made that are shaping our future. The development of Boca Raton has been based on a comprehensive plan that has since become outdated. Because past and present city council and CRA members have cherry-picked what they want to keep from the plan and what they want to change, it's leading the city into an identity crisis. And because of this plan, it's no longer comprehensive. It needs to be rewritten, casting new vision that takes into consideration the demographics of Boca, families with young children, students, retirees, and young professionals just starting their careers. Many small businesses are still struggling, and the city has fallen short in supporting them. I've spoken to business owners all over the city, and they have not received a single phone call from the city just checking on them to see if they're okay. Our city has failed our small businesses. Sustainable projects like repurposing buildings, as I mentioned before, and strengthening our food supply chain will be important aspects to the future of Boca. I've listened to city council members. Residents call in, and their opinions about what is happening in their own neighborhoods is not being heard. For too long, the voice of the city has not been heard from the local government all the way up to the halls of Congress. This is unacceptable, and it's time to restore the voice of the people back to government. And I am the person for that job, as you will see tonight as we progress.
Thank you, Ms. Makovic. Ms. Mayotte.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Mr. Heiser, thanks for having me here tonight and for doing this forum. It's very informative for our residents who need to get to know who they're voting for this next week. So I was first elected to the Boca Raton City Council in March of 2018. I got my start in my career. I was a recovering IT professional. I spent almost 20 years or over 20 years in the IT business in corporate America with working for Burger King Corporation in Miami. And then once I moved to Boca Raton in 1996, I worked for JM Family Enterprises for 9 years before I became a stay-at-home mom and started my volunteer work. And that volunteer work took me to the Boca Raton's Green Living Task Force. I was appointed by then Mayor Susan Welchel to come up with ideas on how to have residents live a greener lifestyle. So I was on that board, which has morphed into a couple different names to the Green Living Advisory Board. And then today it's called the Sustainability Advisory Board. I was involved with that board for close to 7 years, chairing it for many years. So I've gotten a lot of experience from that and working with the city. So right now, the work that I was watching of previous city councils while I was involved with the advisory board, I didn't feel the city was moving in the right direction, and it prompted me to want to run for city council. So here I am, as of March of 18th, I'm on the council, and I've really enjoyed working with my colleagues for the past 3 years. This last year has been very difficult because of COVID and our economic issues. So we've kind of shifted our focus, and I think rightfully so. So I'm proud to have supported the COVID relief efforts for our small businesses and for our residents. And the small business relief, we took money out of our reserves to help our small businesses in town. So I'm very proud that we were able to do that. But my priorities moving forward is to get us through this pandemic, get our economy going again. And like I said earlier, exceptional design and that respects our quality of life in the future.
Thank you, Ms. Mayotte. Ms. Scott.
Okay, C. Brown, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
I've been a resident of Boca Raton, a permanent resident for the last 26 years with my husband, but I grew up winters all my life in Boca since I was 6 years old. I graduated from Boca High in 1972 and got degree from the University of Michigan in economics. I served as a city councilwoman from 2009 to 2015, and then joined Florida Atlantic University as their director of local government relations. As a council member for 2 terms, I have the experience and intimate knowledge about the city's budget and how to build a budget that can sustain the Boca Raton issues, not only through the depression of 2009 when I was elected, but also this recession that we are going through now due to the pandemic. CRA chair, which I was elected to by the council members to do 5 years. No one else has ever served 5 years. We focused on projects that would bring economic development and vibrancy back to the downtown. That included Uncle Julio's. It included the expansion of IPIC Theater. It included bringing Lord and Taylor to the downtown, and 118 shows in the downtown in terms of entertainment at Meisner Amphitheater. And I am very excited to think that we'll be able to, again, bring that kind of vibrancy to the downtown. I also have background in 10 years of economic development experience. I'm retired from Citibank as a financial consultant, as well as a business banker and a commercial lender. I also served at Florida Atlantic University Small Business Development Center as a business consultant.
Thank you much.
Also have okay, thank you.
Mrs. Steinberg.
Thank you, C. Ron and Pedro, and many thanks to the Boca Raton Tribune for hosting this forum. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and with the people of Boca Raton. My wife Jen and I are so fortunate to live here in Boca Raton. A month after our wedding at the top of the Bridge Hotel, we bought our house on Southwest 5th Street and we settled in. Our neighbors over the last 24 years have been young and old, retired IBMers, concrete cutters, lawyers, FedEx drivers, engineers, teachers, cops, firefighters, business owners, inventors, veterans, designers, stay-at-home moms and dads, entrepreneurs, even a guy who'll catch your iguanas. These neighbors have taught us how important we all are to each other. And streets like ours are found all over Boca Raton and neighborhoods throughout our community. Keeping this community in mind, I'm excited about the prospect of giving my time, talent, and treasure in city council service for all of our neighborhoods. This governing body, City Council, makes decisions that impact Boca Ratonians far into the future. The leadership I envision frames that future as one in which we nurture the sense of a small town while growing to keep pace with our residents' needs. I foresee challenges and opportunities to fortify our infrastructure so that we always have safe drinking water and roads. My opponent and I have fought hard during this campaign to convince you who will be the better council member. Please appreciate that we both care deeply for our community. I will take a different approach to governing. I will put our people and neighborhoods first. I will use common sense and sensitivity to keep decision-making fair and transparent. I will hold myself and fellow council members accountable. Thank you very much for putting on this forum. I deeply appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're going to jump back into the questions. Don't forget, from now on, you have 1 minute for your questions. So I want to start with you, Ms. Drucker. What's more important for the city right now, building new homes and commercial space, or rehabbing and expanding and making better, utilizing the existing homes and storefronts that we have?
I think it's a combination, Pedro. I believe that there is going to be redevelopment that's going to come into the downtown that we'll have to look at and see what makes sense, whether that's homes for young professionals or are those going to be, that's the first part. That's when you go to downtown. But there's more than just the downtown. There's like the central part of Boca, or what people call where I live west, which is not, because I still live in the city, to see student housing. I think that's a need that we need in our community. I believe that we have to put those students somewhere. So we have two things that are going on, right, that are competing interests. We need a place for the students. We need a place to keep young professionals so they can work, play, and live here. And then we also have to look at what we're going to do in terms of what's the next phase of Boca as we grow up. I feel that we're in a very interesting time. We're growing up into a very mature city. Our 100th year anniversary is in 2025. So I believe the next 3 years are going to show us a lot of what we can develop, what's already there, what are we going to use, what's there to make sense for the community and the residents, and the best is yet to come.
Thank you. Ms. Makovic?
So I also think there needs to be some combinations of the two, as we've talked about, and a lot of people are very much aware that there is a lack. I mean, not a lack of homes, but demand is very, very high for homes for people who already living in the city, and then of course all of the influx of Northerners who are coming to our beautiful state and our beautiful town. So I think there needs to be a balance of both, which goes back to my original plan of the comprehensive plan, which focuses a lot on the downtown and that kind of area, but needs to expand and take into consideration. I think that instead of saying, okay, well, let's fix this neighborhood or let's fix this right here, I think we need to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, relay out everything and how do we want to do this? Like I said before, give everyone a seat at the table, all of those different components of the city, the families, the students, and so forth, and then make sure that what we're doing makes sense for not just our generation, but my children's generation and their children's generation, because I hope that they all choose to remain in our city.
Thank you. Mrs. Mayat?
Thank you. Mr. Heiser, can you please repeat the question?
Yeah, of course. What's
you.
more important for the city right now, building new homes in commercial space or rehabbing, expanding, and making and utilizing better the existing homes and storefronts that we have?
I'm going to have to agree with what's been said, that we need to do a little bit of both. I think it makes sense to where we have, for example, on the northern end of Federal Highway in Boca, I think that's an area that's ripe for new and interesting housing and retail and commercial development up there. I think it's an area that's should be focused on in the near future. Also, what Congress and Yamato and that general vicinity is booming right now. We have our economic development department is actively recruiting companies from San Francisco, Chicago, the Northeast, bringing more companies here to expand. They all want to get out of their high density type living environments and working environments and come here to Boca to live and move their companies. And so we need to be able to provide opportunities for all of those people to live and opportunities for offices to relocate down here, which is very important.
Thank you. Mrs. Scott?
One of the things that we recognized many years ago was the fact that there was less of an interest in having industrial parks and work sites and commercial and segregated somewhat and putting housing in one area and commercial in another. So we created 5 what are called planned mobility areas, and Councilwoman made it right. In the northern area was the very first project we built or developers built, and it was called Broadstone, and it totally changed the dynamic and the rhythm of that whole area in the northern part, because you now had permanent residents there using and utilizing everything that was going on in that community. I think we need to do the same thing with the other 4 planned mobility districts that are, and one of them is in Central District that was tagged Midtown. So I look forward to seeing that happen, and some project coming to fruition at some point in time.
Thank you. Mr. Stamberg?
Yes, thanks. Yeah, I think it's a hybrid as well. I look at a lot of the older neighborhoods. I happen to live in an older neighborhood, and I can tell you that most of the homes have leaky sewer pipes going in underneath them, going out to the city sewers, which are being replaced. And what we have is potentially environmental issues all over town that we need to understand as a city and attack as a city, because I think individual homeowners may not realize the issues that they've got and that they're going to need help. And so I absolutely believe that that's an initiative the city needs to take to work with homeowners. I also believe that we do need new housing. We got to have some more rooftops, because if we're trying to attract businesses to town, we have to have places, workforce housing for people to live in. It's one of the comments that I've heard from several of the people who are in that business here in town, and they're not just saying it to promote development. They're saying it because it's a real need. And I've heard people tell me that I'm nuts to say that building more homes where people can actually work here in town and live here in town will have a positive impact on traffic. Traffic is obviously a huge issue. And
we'll get to those. We'll get to those
yes,
soon.
sir.
So we got to keep going. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. How do you feel about the transportation options currently available in the city, especially considering the new development with Brightline? Do we have enough options? If not, what will you do to increase those? And let's start with Ms. Drucker.
So I'm really excited about Brightline. It's scheduled to be built, and we're in the process of moving the community garden to Meadows Park. So I'm excited about that as well. And now that we've completed 49% of the tracks are completed, we need to find out, the last mile. How are we going to get people to close in on the last? I think it's going to bring a lot of folks into our footprint, but it's also going to get us out of our cars, parking there and being able to go to other areas. So I think it's going to be a two-way thing. So we'll be able to go other places, but we'll be able to attract a lot of people to our footprint and get people off the grid, right? We still have to find a way, like people like me that don't live in the downtown, to get to the downtown, right? And to get to that area. So that's always the question. What is that? Is that what we had in the past with downtown trolleys? Is that, commuter services? We don't know. But I'm really excited about the Brightline. I think it's going to be very good. It's going to protect our environment. And it's going to bring a lot of economic benefits to our city and a way to showcase our city. So I'm really, really excited about the Brightline. I am.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Makovic.
So I think I agree with what Ms. Drucker said about the Brightline bringing in a lot of new people. I just think that we need to make sure that what we're offering the people who are coming is what they're looking for. And so I do think there is some work that needs to happen with communicating with the residents and making sure that the residents are happy with what was being done in the city as far as the options that are available to them first. Because if the city residents are not happy with what's happening in the city, it's not going to create an atmosphere that people want to come to. People want to go to a city that people love being in, if that makes sense. So I want to make sure that what we're doing makes sense for the residents who are living here currently. Things like circulators, I know those have happened in the past, and I think that would be a great way to do that. And I think that we need to be paying attention to what the needs of the businesses are in the city, making sure that we have very well-lit crossings, especially at the railroad, things that make it safe and someone who wants to take their family or their children or their grandparents out and walk around the city.
Okay, well, thank you much. Ms. Mayotte.
Thank you for this great question. I was honored to be able to vote for the Brightline. I was on the council when it was approved, and it was one of my proudest moments as a council member. As an environmentalist, this is a great way to take cars off the road and reduce the carbon footprint of our city. It is also a great way to bring new people to Boca Raton to showcase our city. We have a great museum downtown. We have hotels that are here for people to stay in. So I am excited that not only will we have great opportunities for people to enjoy Boca Raton more and bring new people in to enjoy all of our restaurants that we have and all of the retail and commercial spots that we have. But we promised as a council that once Brightline got closer to a realization that we would revisit that last mile and figure out what that means, whether that's bicycles, scooters, Ubers, trolleys, shuttles. So that is all still on the table, and we will figure that out.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Scott.
Yes, I can tell you that, and most of you probably know that Brightline was a vision that goes way back to the FEC about 10 or 15 years ago when we were talking about expanding transportation, and it was wonderful that Brightline came along and decided that they were going to do that. One of the awesome things that we also did was with MPO money, we were able to get all of the intersections through Boca Raton with the extra safety precautions through all of the interchanges, because those trains move very, very quickly, 32 seconds through an intersection. So we worked very hard to get funding for that so the city didn't have to pay it. In the other areas of the city, see, Ron, it's really, really important that we look at our planned mobility areas. There has to be transportation to and from Tri-Rail, to and from the areas of work. The city pays a part of it and the business pays a part of it. I think we need to look at that. It has to be a shared cost, and not just the burden of the business or a burden of a neighborhood, but it has to be a shared expense so that everyone can benefit from it. And I think you're going to see something in the downtown with all the condominiums in the downtown and the Boca Raton Club a way to be able to share the cost of commuter. And I don't think trolleys are going to be popular after the pandemic. I think we're going to be looking at smaller vehicles, things that are going to be more Uber related, but not.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you. Mrs. Steinberg.
Yeah, I think Boca needs to really be looking farther into the future in terms of our transportation challenges. And I think that a big thing that we have to look at and start planning for is how we can accommodate and be a leader in autonomous vehicle transportation. And I would like to see it happen at the private level, because I have a feeling that folks who are aging in place here in Boca Raton who can no longer drive are not going to be inclined to jump on a bus. And the autonomous vehicle concept, which is being used in other cities around the world, is something we should take a serious look at. It's a way to get folks to their doctor's office. It's a way to get folks to the Brightline, to Tri-Rail, to other longer term areas. And I think Boca Raton can be a real leader in the county and in the state by working with the county and the state to plan for that eventuality.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Traffic downtown remains an issue, although some people don't see it as a major problem. What do you think, and how would you mitigate those concerns and change the situation, Ms. Drucker?
So right now, traffic has been a lot less because of the pandemic. However, with that, it's brought other challenges in the downtown area and in other parts, even where I'm at, off of Jog Road. We have a lot of issues with drag racing, a lot of issues with noise and safety. We've had a lot of accidents where there have casualties have been a part of it. We get emails almost every other couple of days or phone calls from residents. So that's something that we're really monitoring. We have police force out there enforcing citations in the last month. So we're looking at, so much traffic at certain times of the day is creating other issues for our area, in particular in the downtown. So I hope that we could get more crosswalks in there, more lighting, monitor the traffic lights to see if that plays a role in terms of deterring people from, the racing and et cetera. And in terms of traffic, it's something that we continue to look at, making it more pedestrian friendly. Again, having trams that people can utilize and make it more walker friendly.
Thank you. Ms. Makovic?
So yeah, traffic is definitely an issue in our city, as a lot of residents and we all experience on a daily basis. And I would like to see changes maybe with the lights. I know this is like a small thing, but a lot of times when you're sitting at a red light and then you go up to the next red light and you go up to the next red light, a lot of cities have lights where they stay the same color in one direction and then it switches, and that helps to keep flows of traffic moving properly. And so I would like to see more of that. And I also think it's something very important that when the city council is considering a project, that when we do traffic studies, we do them at the height of season and the height of school times and work times. The last traffic study that was done on a building project that was approved was done during the summer. And anybody who's lived in the city for any amount of time knows that the summer traffic is very, very different than the fall and winter traffic. So I would like to see and make sure that whenever we're doing traffic studies and looking to those experts for their opinion on that matter, that we're doing it at the time that's going to have the most impact on the city. So having a bit of a better strategy when it comes to approving those projects, I think is important.
Thank you. Ms. Matt?
Great question. So, I don't know how many people know this, but the city of Boca Raton is one of the only cities in Palm Beach County that has our own command center for traffic. I've seen it. It looks like a space shuttle command center. And in that room, we have staff that monitors all of our intersections to make sure there's no issues with the traffic and things are moving smoothly. They will, address issues as they come up to help keep the traffic moving. So that will continue, and I'm glad that they do that. But that being said, we have traffic issues in in targeted times, especially in targeted areas, whether it's Military Trail or our downtown or Yamato Road. So we have to make sure that there are ways to, mitigate that traffic and take care of it through these types of, strategies.
Thank you. Ms. Scott?
There's a lot of technology today in terms of smart cities and technology that is being created, research that's being done. A project that FAU has partnered in West Palm on Clematis Street is an example of being able to create not only walkability, but to increase pedestrian traffic along with bicycle traffic, while at the same time moving the automobile traffic through the city. And I think that it's critical that the city of Boca Raton, because we do have a command center, because we do have traffic people who are focused on that, we really need to strategically go out and look at opportunities that we can embrace in order to be able to create a world-class city and incorporate traffic. Traffic shouldn't drive, economic development. It should just be a small component of it. And so I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to implement some of the research and some of the ideas to make our city much more advanced when it comes to technology.
Thank you. Mr. Steinberg?
So what I would like to see having to do with traffic, which traffic is a problem at peak times, I would like to actually see Boca Raton engage with the companies that are involved with GPS, such as Amazon and Google, to make sure that they don't route drivers through single-family neighborhoods and take traffic off of roads like Palmetto Park Road and Glades Road. It's a huge problem that I see in neighborhoods all over the city. It's not a problem, obviously, with gated communities because they're gated and you don't send traffic through there. But it's definitely a problem in neighborhoods like mine and in neighborhoods along Federal Highway as you go north into the city. Again, this is a technology issue. This is something where the city of Boca Raton needs to engage these companies. And by the way, Amazon, for example, has 1,000 trucks, it seems like, every day on our roads, speeding up and down, going the wrong way, parking on the wrong side of the street. We seriously need to get on with the Amazon folks to make sure that they actually follow the rules like everybody else does. It doesn't seem like it's being enforced, and it seems like they just have free reign to do whatever they want.
Thank you.
Thank you much. And folks, if you're a Boca Raton voter, please make sure you take our election survey. You can visit our website and what's that address, Pedro?
Yeah, you can check it out on our app. The link is in the bottom right here. It's linktree.com.
linktr.ee/app Boca, right? Boca Raton Tribune.
Boca Raton Tribune. Check,
okay, moving right along.
Getting some good traction there as well.
Sounds good. Okay, next question. If you could change one thing in the city's zoning code, what would it be and why? Let's start with Ms. Drucker.
I think we have a great warehouse area. So I grew up in Miami. I think I said that earlier. I'm first generation Cuban American. I moved to Boca in 2004. I moved to City Limits in 2008. And I believe that we have a great warehouse area that we can make it very friendly and have restaurants, bars, cafes. We can make it more maybe artsy, just have another area for people to go to and get out of the downtown. I really feel that that's something that we're missing here. We're never going to be in Miami. Do I want that? That's why I live here. But I do think that we have opportunities to look at some of our codes and some of our areas closer to, like not all downtown, and focus a little bit also in central and, the west part of where I live, for example. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. And then the mall, there's a lot of opportunity around the mall. I know businesses are struggling, but I'm really excited to see what might come in there, what kind of venues we presented to come into the, old Sears area.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Ms. Bakovic.
Yes, so this is a great question, and I've had a lot of conversations with people in the community about it. I know that there's a big issue with religious organizations. I was speaking to someone from a church that said it took them 3 years to find a home for their church, which I think is really atrocious. Churches, synagogues, mosques provide a stability in the community, and I think that they should be given high regard to make sure that they have the place that provides that place for the community, the place that people feel safe that they can come to. The churches and the synagogues and the mosques are the ones that are in the forefront of working with our homeless and making sure that they're getting everything that they need. And so I think it's a disservice to those organizations that they're not able to be able to find property and places to have a home. So that's one. And I believe the area that Ms. Drucker is referring to is the district in the warehouse district in West Palm. That's what we're looking at, maybe modeling some of our ideas after having a work, play, live structure where we can do that. So looking at repurposing some of our buildings, such as our office buildings that are going to be sitting empty because we have a lot of employers who are embracing the work from home model. So there's a lot that can be done to make things adjusted for the city for the next 100 years.
Okay, thank you much. Ms. Matt.
Thank you. So I've been kind of on this train for a while, no pun intended, but I believe that we need some student housing here in the city for not just FAU, but Lynn and Palm Beach State. It's important that we provide, FAU especially has 30,000 students and only 4,000 beds. So I think it's important that we help FAU. They're building, they're expanding, they want to be, they're trying to bring in more students to expand their programs. And I think we can help them and be partners with them by providing off-campus student housing for some of their students. My son lived in a very similar type of situation when his last 2 years of college, and it was a great place. It was across the street from campus. He wasn't allowed to bring his car on campus. He had to take the shuttle bus to get to campus or his skateboard when it wasn't snowing. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to provide more student housing for our local students.
Thank you. Ms. Scott?
This question. Thank you so very much. The ideal location was to do an overlay district. We worked on it for 5 years to create an overlay district on 20th Street and the surrounding area. A lot of research was done by Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. We had a housing study done by FAU, and the city invested about $75,000 into a study. We did a charrette, and then the current council decided that they did not want to move forward with it. But what that overlay district would have created was an opportunity, very much like they talked about the warehouse district and the arts district and the housing district. That overlay district could have created an entire corridor along 20th Street that would not only have embraced students, but it also would have embraced all the other sort of cute, clever, little desirable things in an area that is not the downtown, is not Midtown, but it's its own unique space. And it's a warehouse district right now, industrial district, and there are some multifamily housing. That's what we need to do on 20th Street.
Thank you much. Mr. Steinberg?
I don't have a particular target for what I would like to see change with zoning. From what my understanding of talking to many residents around Boca Raton is that they like the neighborhoods that they've got, and they would like to make sure that whatever zoning changes are made down the road, that they don't create misery for everybody down the road. And so with that, I think that the city council obviously should be open to zoning that creates living opportunities and working opportunities for our residents and our guests that make sense. And again, I keep on using that term, that don't create misery for everybody else when they move in. Yeah, I hear Josie's plan about talking about the comprehensive plan. I think it's probably about time to take a look at it, and to be sensitive to the fact that there are people who are living here who love their neighborhoods, who love where they're at, and we need to make sure that we plan accordingly.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, some of you have been sipping on your beverage, so it's only fair that we all take a sip break. So let's take a 30-second commercial break. How about that? Okay.
Information. If it exists in writing, we print it. If it exists online, we update it. If it exists on mobile, we notify. If it exists in video, we show it. If it exists in audio, we play it. In the past, the news had to wait for a paper to print for it to happen. Today, news happens in real time. It's analyzed, edited, and published immediately by us, your neighbors, and of course, you. Wherever you are, you write, edit, give opinions, share photos, and make the news happen. This is why a paper needs to be on print, on screen, and on your phone. Wherever you are, your news has its pulse in the community. The Boca Raton Tribune. We are much more than just a newspaper. We are your closest neighbor.
And we're back. All right. So next question. How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in the city? And as always, we'll start with Ms. Drucker.
Well, I can tell you I'll never find them like Ms. Scott wanted to do when she was CRA chair. It's CRA, it's public records. I'll leave you guys to look that up. I will always listen to the residents. I think it's important as we build this community and we move forward after this pandemic. I will listen to residents, I will listen to business owners, and everyone has a voice collectively to do what's right for the city, not for one group or special interests. My special interests are the people of this community. And I always want to hear what they have to say. And that is why I have enjoyed this campaign so much. I have talked to so many individuals. I have canvassed around these communities. I have walked the walk and talked the talk. And I have taken all that back, and that energized me to get to next Tuesday. It has been an incredible time listening to our residents and what they want. And I know what they want. And what they want is to be heard and not to be silenced, and let alone be fined.
Thank you, Ms. Makov.
So I've been speaking before the city council and county commission meetings, calling into my state government, my federal government for a long time. And I get a lot of the pat on the head and the thank you for your comment, which is what I said in my opening inspired me to want to run, because council members don't listen to the will of the people. I've actually got a lot of emails from constituents and residents in the city saying that I'm the only one who's responded to any of their emails when it came to questions that they've asked, that they put forth questions when it comes to things that are happening in their neighborhood, projects, and so forth, and they haven't heard anything. I'm out in the community. I'm at playgrounds. My kids go to school. I meet with parents. I meet with retirees. My parents live by the beach, so I chat with people in their community. So I think that it's the most important thing is to be hearing the people. And I've actually was speaking today to someone about initiatives that I would like to implement that would encourage people to attend city council meetings. I think that we need to work on ways that we communicate better to the people, maybe to take the agendas, take the wording, take the verbiage and kind of simplify it, because I know it can be a lot when you're sitting through these meetings. You're like, what in the world does that mean? So I think that we need to ways that to reach out to the community and foster that encouragement and that engagement so that they do feel that their voices are being heard, and not just the pat on the head and the thank you for your comment like council members do now.
Thank you. Ms. Mayotte.
Thank you. So when I ran 3 years ago, I promised to be the resident's voice. And I feel I've kept my promise, and I will continue to be that resident voice in my next term. I've always taken into consideration what a resident has felt about a project. I've always made sure that projects that come before us, the petitioner has had meetings with the surrounding neighbors, making sure they've gotten buy-in or not buy-in, whatever the case may be, and why they haven't gotten buy-in. I always take that into consideration, and I always will. And I get emails all the time. Part of my job as a council member is to respond to the emails that I get on a daily basis on a myriad of different topics. And I always make sure that I respond to every email that I receive from every resident on a timely basis.
Thank you, Mrs. Scott.
Thank you so much for the question. And I do believe that transparency, communication with our residents is absolutely the key. We have a wonderful department, that our public affairs department, that has done a good job with that. Attending meetings is one thing, and also knowing that you're always going to have a vocal group of people that are going to be in dissent, we need to find a better way to collaborate instead of having lawsuits. We just finished a $146 million lawsuit regarding the Midtown project, and we have 2 lawsuits that are going on right now because council members talked inappropriately about not wanting old people in the downtown, and we don't want people like that in our area. So I have a BOCA plan, and my BOCA plan is about budget. It's about operations. It's about community and COVID, and it's about the amenities in this city, and that spells BOCA. And that's what my focus is to implement that BOCA plan and make sure that everyone feels included in it, everyone feels a part of it, and everyone takes part in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Steinberg.
Yeah, I just want to say that it has been a great gift and a wonderful privilege to speak directly with so many folks here in Boca Raton, both residents and business people. I believe that that gift and that privilege need to be continued throughout a council member's term, and it means getting together with people at their level, not that they're at a different level, but on the level of them in their neighborhoods, in their homes, in their shops, in their stores, having coffee with people. And during this campaign, I've given out my personal cell phone number to hundreds of people, and I've had a few people call and say, "I can't believe you actually answered the phone." Well, what's not to believe? This is running for city council. Is, you know, you're running for probably one of the most important jobs anybody can ever have, because you are accountable to the people, and the people are gonna hold you accountable. So you might as well be ready and willing and able to take their calls and to answer their emails and to meet with them in person and to shake their hands and give them a hug and say thanks for being my neighbor.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if someone came to you with a proposal to build a new piece of infrastructure in our city, whether a road or bridge or whatever, how would you evaluate whether that project was worth implementing? And let's start with Ms. Drucker.
So once again, I would look at the project individually. I would understand the code, the laws that regulate the project, where it's going to be situated, where it's going to be placed. Resident input is important. Obviously, community input, city staff input. I would ask the questions and also understand the need. Again, my approach is smart development and common sense development. If it makes sense, then we should have it. If it doesn't make sense for our footprint, then why put something up or open something? We need to make sure that we put the right things and that they're going to be, you know, last where we put them. I know Ms. Scott brought up Lord and Taylor and Uncle Julio's, but 2 places that have since closed. So again, things that make sense, innovative, and with resident input. Input from the city, input from the residents, and in a collaborative effort, we would make a decision. I would make a decision if it was my vote, you know, whether it works or not.
Okay, well, thank you much. Ms. Makovitz.
Great question. I think that I would do along the similar lines as what Ms. Drucker said, making sure that we're looking at what the rules are of the city. But if we go back to what my original thoughts are in rewriting the comprehensive plan, it would actually lay out a much smoother process, because we'd be able to compare it to what the plan has already written into it and easily decide if we want to move forward with the process of approval or not. So we would start with that, and that would actually make that process smoother and easier for both the developers and the residents of the city to understand, and not just understand, but to be able to decide if they want to have it or not and get their way in, of course. And then I think something that is important to look at is when these developers are coming in with different projects, is that we're looking at the impact that they're going to have outside of the 4 corners of the city and holding them to some accountability with that as well. So if a project is going to impact the traffic or the roads, then the city is now responsible for adjusting to fit around a project. That we need to make sure that balance between what the developer that the project is bringing in, again, whether it's roads, then how does that impact the rest of the roads in this? So looking at it as a 360-degree project, as opposed to just dropping a building here or dropping a building there, I think is really the baseline. And again, going back to that comprehensive plan rewriting.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Matt.
What I typically look at when I have a project in front of me is I have to look at what the owner's property rights are. What are they given? What do they have the right to do on the piece of property? But I also take into an account how it's going to affect our infrastructure, our traffic, our schools, our fire, police service, our water and sewer infrastructure. All of that, it all has to be able to fit into what we can provide, and it doesn't, detract from what the service levels that we have today. Or detract from our quality of life. We have to make sure it will enhance our quality of life. And I always need to make sure that our residents' opinions are taken into consideration. Have they been able to weigh in on what they feel is important? And if they think that this is a project that our city needs.
Great, thank you much. Ms. Scott.
Thank you, Siran. First of all, I would hope that every single project wouldn't necessarily have to come to the city council as it doesn't currently. I would hope that, first of all, that we do have a process in the city in terms of our development services department and our planning department. And I would hope that they would, if there's an interested project, that they would come to our development services department and sit down with our staff and our people and be able to go through the entire process that we have. And then there's also a planning process where they sit around the table with all of the different departments in terms of being able to determine if the project is formidable to go forward. And that includes the building inspectors, code enforcement, it includes fire inspection, it includes our legal department and all of those areas before it goes to the planning and zoning department. So I think that what we have to make sure is that if those projects are looking at coming to the city, whether it's a restaurant or whether it's as you mentioned, bridge or whatever it is, then what we have to do is make sure that all of our departments are working in synchronization and that they're working in a timely fashion, and that we are working for the businesses as well as we are working for the betterment of our citizens. So I see it as a combination of the department prior to it getting to city council.
Great, thank you much. Mr. Steinberg.
Thanks, Iran. When I think about infrastructure, I think about roads, bridges, sewer lines, water treatment plants, things along those lines. And I think that if a project comes along that is going to improve the health and safety and quality of life in our community, we first need to figure out, number one, if we can afford it, and number two, we got to figure out if it's going to serve the long-term goals and long-term needs of our residents and our businesses. So this is a lot more than just approving a building. This is about how for example, the city spends money on the ISIT program, which is replacing in old neighborhoods water and sewer lines that are underground, and at the same time resurfacing roads. An example of a large project that we can look to say, wow, that worked out pretty good, is the Spanish River interchange. Another thing that we're going to look at in the future is how are people going to get from the Brightline station across Dixie Highway? Are we going to invest money in a bridge, or are we going to improve the crossing over at 2nd Street? So, we do need to make sure that we can afford these things and that they make sense for our public health and safety.
Okay, thank you much.
All right, thank you. We're going to
Pedro?
we're going to go to a viewer question that was asked, and it's a general question. So all of you are going to have the same amount of time to answer it. And so the question is from Andrea Gervitz: would you support a forum of citizens to express mental health solutions in the city? So we'll start with Ms. Drucker.
Yes, yes, yes. I do think that as a result of the pandemic, we've seen a rise in mental health issues, not only in our city, with some of the homeless that are out in the city, but also with our young adults. I have 2 teenagers. I have a 15-year-old and almost a 13-year-old. And I speak to a lot of the teenagers, and I believe that we're going to see a lot of mental illness in that age group, in the adolescents, because they're not with their peers and they're staying at home, and a lot of them are still doing virtual. So I do believe that this could be something that we should look at, even though we don't legislate the mental part of it in terms of the city, but I think it's something that would be nice to have and to look at, because I do feel that it's something that's going to affect the city. I've spoken to Boca Raton Regional with their senior leadership just to see, what their take is on the situation. And, I think it's worth further conversation as we move into recovery from COVID recovery and the pandemic.
Thank you. Ms. Makovic?
So yes, I would definitely support something like this. I would love to see a collaboration with the different types of mental health services that are already provided in the city through things like in the schools for the young adults. A lot of the houses of worship have mental health services that they provide for the members or members of the community, if that's the direction someone would like to go, as well as the professional services that are offered by members of the community in the mental health field. So I would love to see collaborations of those areas so that we can help support the families in a practical and the members of the community in a practical way, and that we can also disperse the people as well. So one section of the community is not having to just work with one area, but that people can find what works for them when it comes to what they're looking for in their mental health. I would love to see support groups as well for maybe parents who are working with children who are working through things that have, impacted them from the pandemic, so that nobody feels alone. I think a lot of the issue that we're seeing with COVID-19 is a lot of people feeling very lonely, and that can lead into a lot of mental health issues. So I'd like to see collaborations in the community so that there's actual support systems where people can find people that they connect with on whatever the issues that they need.
Thank you. Ms. Mayott?
Thank you. Yes. So we have a community advisory panel as part of our offerings of advisory boards. And this panel a few years ago, some high school students they had a youth subcommittee, and on there they took on the mental health issue, and they had town halls. They were talking to students of all ages about mental health, and they actually won an award from the Florida League of Cities for their efforts. So I would know that organization would love to be able to do that again and do more of a robust job in providing more opportunities for more people to be involved and to listen to more people on mental health issues going forward, because we definitely have, because of the pandemic, a lot of people that are dealing with issues like loneliness and the fact that they may have lost their job, or they can't go to school, or, and so it all needs to be addressed. And I think our community advisory panel is a great way to start.
Thank you. Ms. Scott?
Yes, absolutely, Paige. A program that was started many, many years ago by a woman by the name of Rita Thrasher. And Rita is well known in our community regarding mental health issues due to issues that she had with her own children. And that program has grown exponentially in collaboration with Palm Beach State College, FAU University, Lynn University, and many, many mental health technicians, people who are therapists, all different ages, and they are currently offering programs not only for people to become mentors in mental health situations, but partnering with therapists to do therapy without a cost. And they were extremely active during the Parkland shooting. It was very, very successful and very popular. I think that moving forward, we're going to need to do a similar thing that occurred from the pandemic, like we did with Parkland, and it was very successful.
Thank you. Mr. Steinberg?
Yeah, thanks, Ron. I don't think government can do a wonderful job of helping people solve their mental health issues. I do think that leaders in government need to reach out directly to people, directly to their communities, to their neighborhoods, to our neighborhoods, and to our houses of worship in order to provide leadership to tell people it's okay to get together. And I think that one thing that city council could do, that the city could do, is open up. Have public meetings, even if it's a hybrid situation where you have people live in a room and you have people available on a forum like this, because we have the technology to do this. But if we continue to stay hunkered down, all we're doing is we're creating more situations for people to isolate themselves, to stop getting together, to stop being part of the human race. And we cannot allow this to happen. And the ability and the desire for us to get together is ingrained in us. We're people. So I think it's important from the city standpoint to set an example and get together, open things up.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. Let's talk a little about achieving prosperity, and central to that is jobs. There has been a record, at least I must say, about 8 years of job growth, and the latest census has shown that incomes have increased at a rapid rate after years of stagnation. However, income inequality remains insignificant in nearly half Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, not to mention what happened after the pandemic. Why are you a better choice than your opponent for the kinds of jobs that will put more money into the pockets of Boca Raton residents, workers? Let's start with Miss Drucker.
So I believe that you're right. There are jobs, the jobs that we're garnering in our city that are coming, the newer jobs are really centered around technology and the types of business that our economic development tries to target. But I do agree, when I speak to restaurants and I speak not only to the owners, but to the service people, some of them are carrying 2 or 3 different jobs right now. Again, this has been my campaign journey. I've been listening to the people going out and understanding what they have. So we need to find a better way to not only have the technology jobs, the young professional jobs, but also the jobs for our service people that are working to service us. I had a conversation not too long ago with our dry cleaners. They're having a huge impact, right? Because people are not using dry clean services. We have no events are happening really. So I think that we need to look at it as a collective and see where we can try to help these areas, which we have as a city, by being lax about signage, about tents being put up in order for more outdoor spacing in terms of eating. And I think it's just going to take a lot of patience and collaboration in order to find those jobs and to get people back on their feet. Once you get kids to school, people could go back to work. That's a big, big goal.
Thank you much. Ms. Makovic.
So I love this question. I think that in my own journey of speaking to lots of business owners in the downtown area, especially and just all over the city, there's a lot of restrictions that are on our business owners from doing things like using a patio that is attached to their restaurant to be able to expand. First of all, I don't understand why they can't use it during COVID-19 and be outside and be able to serve patrons outside, but also that would help to bring revenue and income in. I was speaking to a business owner this last week, and he said a big issue that he sees in the downtown is underage drinking, that the area in the downtown has become very known as college town, and that drives away people who want to just relax and have a drink, have dinner with their families, with their husbands. And so I think we need to be very careful about the type of image that we're putting forward in our city, and we're making sure that we're attracting the right type of patrons who bring the right type of money to be able to help expand our businesses and to release some of the restrictions that are on our businesses to be able to grow and to be able to bring in that income.
Okay, thank you much. Ms. Mayotte.
Thank you very much. So I need to make a correction here that Governor DeSantis has not put any restrictions on our restaurants here in Florida. They are not required to be at 25% or even 50%. I actually held a restaurant workshop back in November to bring together city staff, our restaurant owners and operators, so that we could all talk together to see how we could help, the city could help restaurants get through this pandemic and make sure they can attract customers and keep them all safe. One great example of what's happening at a restaurant is Abe and Louie. They have a huge tent in their parking lot. Their inside is at 50% because they choose to be at 50%. There is no requirements for restaurants to be at 50% right now, but they're doing that to keep their customers safe. So I appreciate that. And we'll get through this. I grew up in a middle-class family. My dad was an electrician, so I understand the plight and what it takes and how it's unnerving to not be able to make a living that you used to be able to make, because he was on strike a couple of times. So I just think we need to get through this pandemic. We need to wear our masks until the end is near. We can see it with all these vaccines. So and then we can move forward and bring everybody back, get everybody back to work.
Thank you. Ms. Scott.
Well, I think that particularly now, the pandemic is one of the things that has changed the whole dynamic of businesses and jobs. And the layoffs are just across the board in terms of businesses are losing their businesses. Their employees are struggling and suffering. So it's more than just the job. It's about losing the rent for their apartments or the mortgages for their homes. And so I feel very, very strongly that it's an educational process and doing hands-on. I was a certified business consultant for the Small Business Development Center, and I did GAP programs for companies that were 35 years old. And now we have companies and businesses that are 10 people and under. We have to get CARES Act money into their hands. We have to get dollars into their hands so that they can at least be able to put food on their tables and then be able to go out and find jobs.
Thank you much. Mrs. Steinberg? Mr. Steinberg?
You ready? Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
So prosperity is obviously extremely important. I'm going to go back to what I said before, and that is
Believe you're muted. Mr. Steinberg, you're muted.
Mr. Stein. You're muted, Mr. Steinberg.
hang on. All
There you
right.
go.
I'm not touching the mute button again.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
Very good.
Are we good? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. What I said was blah, blah, blah. No, we need to open up our community. The city council needs to lead by example by having meetings that are open to the public. By that example, we need to tell other businesses and residents that we can get together safely. We can do these things safely. You know, restaurants and business owners are coming up with creative ideas to get back in business. We need to get, we need to get the CARES money into the hands of the folks who may not have qualified because, for instance, on a technicality, because they didn't have enough employees. Instead of having 3, they only had 1 or 2. These people need to be helped out. We need to ensure that our project reviews, permitting, and inspections are done efficiently so that businesses can, if they have a project, or even if a homeowner has a project, that they can get it done and they can get people employed quicker. All these things are going to lead to prosperity in our community. You know, there's obviously a lot of external factors that are affecting us, and we can be cognizant of that. But we are the leaders in Palm Beach County for creating jobs. Boca Raton is a job generator. We need to honor that, and we need to make sure that we, as a city council, create the leadership for our community to know that we are in business and we're not playing around.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to my last question, let me just go back to this one that we just asked. As you know, I'm a journalist, and I still did not, except for one person, I still did not get the answer that the listeners need to hear. What specific plan do you have to bring additional jobs to the area? What specific plan do you have to bring as the next city council member to bring additional jobs to the area, starting with Ms. Drucker?
Well, what I would like to see is all the development that was approved prior to me being on council, that all those buildings are fully done so that they could open up. There could be people servicing that, the hotel downtown. So there'll be jobs coming in from there. That's something that needs to be done and that needs to be, finished. I believe bringing the right businesses possibly to some of those front space in Meisner Park that are closed today. There's some things going in there. There's some restaurants that are coming very soon. That's something that's coming. That's something that's there. I would like to see proposals from businesses saying what they want to bring. They're moving into our platform. I know there's a lot of technology I've met with a small business owner. Actually, they have about 55 technology individuals, and they're looking for people to come into our footprint. The problem is there's nowhere for them to live. So there's kind of like a balance going on here of like, young professionals commute into the city, but they don't have a place to live that's affordable for a young professional. So the plan is bringing jobs, but also having housing and also attracting the right jobs. So it's kind of like it's a 3-part series in terms of how do we accomplish that.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Makovic.
So
Ms.
I'm
Makovic?
going to kind of go a little bit with my original answer, but I will elaborate a little bit more. Is I would like to see less restrictions when it comes to the businesses that are coming in. I would like to see a streamline of the process to get approved for businesses. I would like to see collaborations with businesses that are already in the community. So and I keep going back to the downtown just because it's a great example. So if we look at the downtown and we see, okay, we have this type of restaurant, this type of restaurant, this type of restaurant. We have a space here. What could we do? Who do we know in the community that's interested in opening a restaurant? Who knows whom in the community? Tap into the business community, into the Chamber of Commerce, and see who is looking to open something and how can we work with you to get that business open. So I think there just needs to be better communication. I'd like to see better communication between the members of City Hall, the business owners, and the businesses that we want to attract into the community. And it kind of goes back again to my original comprehensive plan. What type of businesses do we want to have? What are we lacking? What do we have enough of? And not that we can never have too many businesses, but trying to bring in that balance. And I think that will bring in more jobs.
Thank you much. Ms. Mayotte.
Thank you. So I fully support the city's economic development department, who is actively seeking to bring in companies, technology companies from Silicon Valley, from San Francisco, financial companies from the Northeast, from New York, from Connecticut, Chicago. We are advertising and really upping BOGA's airplay in those areas to bring in more companies, to have more of a footprint here in moving their headquarters here. You know, over 50% of the corporate headquarters in Palm Beach County are located in Boca Raton. We need to make that number higher, and we are working very hard each and every day to attract new companies here. I mean, we have a lot of resources. We have an amazing hospital. We have amazing beaches. We have an international airport. We have public and private universities. So we have all of these amenities that people and companies that will attract new companies and new jobs to our area.
Thank you much. Ms. Scott.
Sebron, thank you for the question. I have served the last 5 years on the board of directors for the Business Development Board, and that is the marketing arm for Palm Beach County of corporate recruiting. And Ms. Mayotte is correct. We have 46 corporate headquarters in the city of Boca Raton, and on the term that I served from the 9th to 2015, we created over 10,000 jobs in the city of Boca Raton. I would use very similar principles in terms of building our relationships with the other businesses in the community. I would also utilize the resources that we have, the state resources, the QTI programs, the other programs that can assist in terms of the incentive programs that we offer through our economic development department. That's funded with $1 million a year. That started in 2010 when I was on the city council. We created that department. It has been very successful. What I also think we need to do is we need to talk to the existing businesses themselves, because they could be the best ambassadors for recruiting businesses into our community. And it's a role of the city council to build those relationships. That's one of the reasons that the Boca Raton Chamber of Commerce has endorsed me, because I have been a chamber member for 24 years and know that that organization knows how to meet the needs of business through training, networking, friendships.
Thank you much. Mr. Steinberg.
I have a specific plan. As a city council member, I would push the concept of the city setting up a convention and visitors bureau to work with the Boca Raton Resort and Club and with the Mandarin Oriental and with other large venues in the city in order to attract convention business from around the world. Boca Raton is a world-class city. We have an international airport. We have a train station that's being built. It's going to serve passengers from around the world who come to Orlando and Miami and happen to stop in Boca Raton. We have so many great opportunities to tap into the international market, and I think we can do a far better job if we have a convention Convention and Visitors Bureau that it's dedicated to to Boca Raton's interest. The economic development portion of the city is great, and I think we can enhance that. One of the things that the Convention and Visitors Bureau would also do would be to act as a liaison between the city and the folks that we invite to come to the city to use our resort, which, by the way, these the Dell folks are investing over $100 million in rebuilding that resort. It's going to be phenomenal. We have so many, like I said, so many great opportunities, and we really need to go. I would say we got to go over the top in terms of recruiting international business, because we have the resources here. All we got to do is we got to go for it.
Thank you very much, sir. Again, folks, if you are a Boca Raton voter, please make sure you take our election survey, visit our website, and the results will be posted before we log off tonight. Now, this is going to do it for all of us this evening.
Hold on, Siron. Hold on. Hang on. So that's the partial results will be we'll release those today before we log off, and those will be available to continue voting until the Monday before the election. And I believe now we do the closing remarks, I believe, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
So we're going to do closing remarks. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to do their closing remarks, and we will start with Ms. Drucker.
So as your current city council member, I've had the honor of serving you, the residents of Boca Raton, and always listening to you. When I'm elected on Tuesday, my promise to you is to continue to listen to you. There are some things that you need to know. I was endorsed by the Sun Sentinel. They said Ms. Scott has had her time and I am the future. And I have outstanding volunteerism. I'm also endorsed by the current mayor, Scott Singer, and the deputy mayor, Andrew Rourke. I was also appointed to the council out of 32 members in our community, 4-0 on the resolution. Ms. Scott applied for the appointment and she wasn't even considered. Why? Why? Because they know her. They know who she is. They know how she has been. She shows, she's been attacking me as of late. She for no good reason, wanted back on the council. She is special interest. She is development. Most of the density that we see now in 2009 to 2015, she said earlier today, was under her watch. Those are the buildings that are out there today. Our community deserves someone like myself and not like Ms. Scott. All she does is lie about me and mislead the voters and the residents. So here I am to tell you that, in fact, I volunteer meetings because I'm a mom. It's the most important job I've had in my life, is being a mother. And I have missed advisory board meetings because they were volunteer. I have 100% record in the city council. I have 100% voting record, which I can't say for Ms. Scott. She had to file over the conflict of interest when she served because she had so many conflicts. Also, I didn't sell to anyone. I sold it to a good steward in our community. It has a historic preservation easement. That means you can't knock it down. You can't change the facade. We did it for the community. It's going to be used as a culinary incubator. So what I ask for you is, it's time to go forward and vote for me. And Ms. Scott, in the last week of campaigning, I would ask you to please stop attacking me and don't just continue attacking. Speak the facts, speak the truth. Time to go forward, and the residents of Boca deserve someone like myself.
Thank you. Ms. Makovic?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. I appreciate the opportunity provided by the Boca Tribune to speak to the voters. And I want to thank you guys, Pedro and C-Ron, for doing such a great job. I'm flattered Ms. Drucker finds my ideas so good that she, number one, had to steal them. And you can go back and look at past interviews, past things to see that. And that she had to spend thousands of dollars and add to our $43 million of waste in the city to spread misconstrued information, unethically sourced quotes, and generally distasteful statements, all to cover up the fact that she has no original thoughts of her own. But what we can expect from Councilwoman Drucker is the same mischaracterizations and out of context pablum as we get from candidate Drucker. And it's because she's either incapable of coming up with solutions and ideas for the city on her own, or she's complicit in things that are happening behind the scenes. And I will let her pick which one that she is. If anyone has any questions about me, they are free to email me. My email address is josie@bocaneedsjosie.com. Email me and I will give you my phone number and we can chat about things. But I do wish good luck to every candidate running in the races. I'm confident the people of this beautiful city will choose the two best to serve them. If I am entrusted by the community to join the city council, I will do my best to be the voice of the people by working on rewriting the comprehensive plan, giving everyone a seat at the table, working with local businesses to support economic regrowth and freedom in how they run their businesses, and ways to attract new businesses to our community, as well as spearheading innovative sustainability projects that will take Boca into the next 100 years. Don't forget to get out in the polls and vote on March 9th. Please consider me, Josie Makovic, for Boca Raton City Council Seat C.
Thank you. Ms. Mayotte?
Thank you again for this forum tonight. I think it's been very informative. I want to start by saying, Brian, our community is very disappointed in the type of smear campaign you're running. It is disrespectful to the Boca voters. They expect better and they deserve better. I have lost count of the calls, texts, emails I continue to receive about your negative campaign materials. I hear, what happened to Brian? He's changed so much, being so negative about our city. Maybe his campaign has changed him. Residents thought this type of campaigning was part of our past. We thought better of you. This is evidence that I made the right decision not appointing you to the council to fill Jeremy Rogers' seat. I don't believe you have the character or judgment to sit on city council. Hold on, my phone is ringing. Brian has no new ideas. Everything he talks about in his campaign, my colleagues and I are already addressing. I can take his attacks on me, but he's also attacking the city that I love. If we listen to him, Boca Raton is a mess. It's like he lives in a different city. He has this dystopian, depressing view of our wonderful city. I wholeheartedly disagree with Brian's outlook, but you know who else disagrees with Brian's outlook? Mayor Scott Singer, Deputy Mayor Andrea Levine O'Rourke, the Palm Beach Post, the Sun Sentinel, our firefighters and police unions, the SEIU, which are our service workers, and the Palm Beach County Human Rights Council, because they all have endorsed my campaign for re-election for the Boca Raton City Council. Mayor Singer and Deputy Mayor O'Rourke and I don't always agree on the dais, but Mayor Singer and Deputy Mayor O'Rourke agree that I need to be re-elected. So let me get back to why I need to earn your vote. First and foremost, we need to make sure we can keep people safe and with reasonable and responsible mask usage, social distancing, and common sense COVID-19 response to get our economy back on track. We have many families and businesses that are still struggling, and they will be in the forefront of my mind. And of course, I'll stay focused on smart, responsible growth and demand exceptional design, planning, and infrastructure improvements, as well as always putting resident needs first. And for that, I will continue to be resident focused in my second term. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Scott?
Yes, thank you. In my closing remarks, first, I'd like to say that I'm all in for Boca and for our city's future. It's our city. We're going to get through the pandemic and all of these issues together. I am focusing on COVID-19 and the recovery. I'm supporting our small businesses. I have strong fiscal management, world-class essential services, world-class amenities, and I served on the Town and Gown International Committee for Florida Atlantic University. Election day is Tuesday, March 9th. I'm asking for your vote. And most importantly, I would like also to add that my character, my core being, my integrity, the service that I provided in terms of my leadership is the reason why I am being endorsed by our firefighters, our police officers in the city of Boca Raton, by Frank Barbieri, the president of the Palm Beach County School Board, by Blue Pack, which is the Chamber of Commerce when my opponent didn't even show up to interview. I also have been endorsed by the Human Rights Council and Rand Hawk, defending people's rights, individuals. So I also feel very strongly the Realtors Association are endorsing me. I have the Palm Beach Post endorsement. And I did get a lot of praise from the Sun Sentinel for my volunteer service and for the work that I did for 6 years on the council. I'm willing to give up an $80,000 a year job for a $28,000 a year job because I recognize my leadership, my skills, and my experience are definitely needed right now on the city council. Thank you so very much. And please remember to vote for me on Tuesday, March 9th.
Thank you. Mr. Steinberg?
Thank you very much for putting on this forum tonight. I appreciate it. I want to tell you a little bit about how I'm different than my opponent. During this campaign, I've met and spoken with many people in Boca Raton, residents, local business owners, major players in large parts of our business community. I'm the only candidate who sees it's time to start the search for our next city manager. I'm the only candidate who talks with residents and landowners in Central Boca to understand what's next for the town center area. I'm the only candidate ringing the alarm that tax revenues will take a hit starting this year because of lower commercial property values. And you know what my plan is? My plan is to keep talking to my neighbors because we'll get through these tough times together in communication with each other, not just our buddies on the city council. I ran for office because I know I'll serve Boca Raton honorably, faithfully, honestly, and with integrity. My focus is on the people of Boca Raton. Of course I care about our environment. Of course I care about how badly the pandemic has affected our community. I also care about Michelle Stetner and Nahid Khan, two local coffee shop owners I've gotten to know very well, shut down during the pandemic, striving to get back on their feet. You know what they need? They need the city back open. They need art festivals downtown. They need leadership that says, you know, it's time to get back to work. It is indeed time to get back to work. Time to open City Hall back up. I humbly ask for your vote on Tuesday to put me there in City Hall. Thank you very much.
Well, that is going to do it for us tonight. We covered a lot of ground, and we hope you, the voters and residents, have a clearer understanding of who is who that's vying for your precious vote tonight. My thanks to each of the candidates, and just a reminder, the polls open at 7 a.m. on Tuesday and will close at 7 p.m. From all of us here at the Boca Raton Tribune, good night, everyone.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And stay tuned. We're going to be doing the partial results of the poll that we ran throughout the election survey. And here they are right now. There they are, the survey. There you go. It's kind of, we're in the middle, but so that's so far what the readers and the viewers have so far said. These obviously are not the voting. These are just a survey of the people who have watched. So if you still want to vote on these, go ahead and head over to our app, the Boca Raton Tribune, search on the Apple Store and Google Play, and you will be able to make your vote there for the survey. But again, don't forget, your vote does matter on March 9th, Tuesday. Like Ciaran said, they're open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And with that, we want to give you guys a great night. And thank you so much for joining us. And we hope to see you guys voting on Tuesday. Take care now.